Has your heart felt heavy recently? Has old trauma and old emotions, old feelings, old states of being, old patterns been emerging in your consciousness? If so, this is your ego's last stand. This is the last cycle of that pattern before you break through into your divine personality and your divine purpose. You're not an ordinary being, you're a spiritual warrior. And as you grew up in this world, the darkness all around you impacted you more deeply than most. The darkness that was around you caused you to hide your divine light, to protect yourself, to shut that away, and to conform to what was around you. It also caused you to internalize that darkness, believing there was something wrong with you. There's never anything wrong with you. It was just you are a sensitive spiritual being, and you were picking up and absorbing what was around you in your environment. And to be able to cope with that, you developed certain coping mechanisms, possibly certain addictions, to dissociate from that pain that you are absorbing from your environment. But now God's calling upon you to release all of that through His grace, through the help of God and your spirit guides, to transmute all that darkness into light. A lot of the stuff you might have thought you've overcome, maybe it hasn't been an awareness for the last couple of years, and you have done a lot of healing on yourself. You've made a lot of progress, but now it's time to work through the rest of that, to let it go so that you can fully embody your divine essence. What is happening now is maybe you're falling into emotional flashbacks. You're feeling all the emotions you used to feel in childhood, the hopelessness, the despair, the anxiety, whatever it was that you were feeling in your darkest times in childhood may be now re-emerging, but it's re-emerging with the mission to be purified, to be transmuted to a higher expression. You've already done so much of this transmutation. This is the final step. You're almost done. You're almost there. This is one final cycle for you to go through, one final test before you break through. And what God's calling upon you to do is to cling to Him, cling to the divine. When these emotions emerge, go straight to God, give it to God, give it up to God to transmute into light. You were put through the darkest storm in your early life, possibly even through adulthood. You were put through some very dark times, some very difficult circumstances, because God wanted you to be able to empathize and relate to what everybody's going through around you. But as a spiritual being, the purpose was always going to be to transmute that into light and then to spread that with the world through whatever you do, whether it's art, whether it's teaching, whether it's just being a positive presence to all of those that are around you. The light you've cultivated through spiritual practice, through healing the trauma, through all the introspective work, through all the change you've gone through, that's going to show. And just by being in your presence, people are going to be healed. But first, you've got to heal yourself, and you're almost done. This is the last arc of healing that you need to go through before you're ready to fully embody and spread your light to the world. And what's required is that you surrender to God's will and that you cling to God. The temptation is going to be, as you feel these old emotional states that are emerging from your childhood, the temptation is going to be to go to those old coping mechanisms that once served you because it was too much to handle. You didn't have the proper tools at that time. Your connection to God was severed through the darkness in your environment, so you were forced to rely on certain coping mechanisms to dissociate from what was going on around you and inside of you. So don't blame yourself for that. Don't beat yourself up for that. That was only a logical response and a necessary response to what was going on around you. But now you're grown and you're powerful and you're strong and you have a deeper connection to spirituality and to God, and you don't need to dissociate into all that anymore. For me, recently, it's been video games. As these old emotions are coming up, I've had the temptation to just go watch YouTube videos, play video games for hours a day, because that was what I used to do in childhood to get away from the painful emotions and state I was in. That's no longer required because now I have that deep connection to God and can just go there. And I was asking myself, I'm going through all this myself. Everything I talk about on these videos is something I have experienced or I'm currently experiencing. I'm right there walking the path with you guys. And I'm there for you. If you have any questions, drop them in the comments. I've also started a community called the Oasis Spiritual Fellowship Group. If you're interested in working with me, check the comments for more details. But basically it's intended to talk through all these spiritual truths and see how we can all cultivate an aligned spiritual practice and spiritual living through universal principles that have been shown to us through the great saints and masters. So, also while you're going through these dark times, look to the examples of the great saints, read books about saints or do some research into them, see how they handled the darkest circumstances in their lives. Even Jesus was tested. Even these great saints went through a lot of darkness and they were tested. But their connection to God was so strong, their faith was so strong that they didn't allow that to shake them. And we can learn from that example and apply it to our own lives as well. Just cling to God, ask for help from God, pray to God to help you heal whatever it is that's holding you back. That's what's required right now. And even when you fall, even when you slip up into these old patterns, beating yourself up isn't going to do any help. Just pour that love right back into yourself and go straight back to God. It's not about how many times you fall. It's about how many times you get back up, go right back to God. And in time, those old compulsions are going to fall away as they become transmuted into the highest light. So just keep moving forward, keep putting one foot in front of the other, keep walking the path. You're not going to reach the highest levels of enlightenment overnight. You're not going to be perfect overnight. Sometimes we can beat ourselves up for, we want to, as spiritual beings, we have lofty aspirations to live like these saints have lived. We draw inspiration from those examples. As much as you can, follow that example, but understand that it's a lifelong process. Pour that love into yourself. Be compassionate to yourself when you're not perfect. Continue to do the best you can. That's all God is asking of us. He doesn't put in front of us more than what we can handle. Just keep doing your best. And in time, you'll find that all your darkness has been transmuted into the highest divine light and love. With that being said, I love you guys. I wish you the best. Blessings to you all. And I'll see you on the next one. Jai Guru.